Hey guys, there's an old African proverb that goes like this. If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. And I've heard Les Brown often refer to it in his speeches, and it's stuck with me. It's become part of me. It's my daily reminder to monitor what is going on in my mind. What do I think about myself? And now I'm challenging you to ask yourself daily, what are the thoughts that are going on in your mind about yourself? What do you think about yourself? If you are happy with yourself, that's wonderful because it's going to affect the amount of positive influence that you have around you. But if you're not happy with yourself, then how can you possibly admit and be the best part of you with others? So let's really monitor what's going on within. If we can come to peace with ourselves, then we can actually be our true great selves for everyone else. Hope this helps everyone. Have a great day.
Words are a blueprint, and when you know that, you think, well, I better pay attention to that blueprint.
The language you use about yourself when you're by yourself is what will make or break your self-esteem.
If you make a choice to talk to yourself better, you can bounce back. You might as well use your mind as much as you possibly can to be well.
Rise and shine, it's espresso time. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I am not a morning person, I'm not. But when you start your day off with a powerful routine that inspires you, like watch one of these videos, it will change your life. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee, know that I believe in you, and get ready for a shot of espresso from Marissa Peer.
I wake up every morning. Espresso keep me going. I wake up every morning.
What do you think is your greatest challenge that you face internally, personal challenge, as someone who's helped thousands, tens of thousands of people personally,
My
and
greatest
understand all this
challenge,
stuff?
Yeah, I suppose it's not a challenge to get more people to understand it because people need it. You know, we all need to be nourished. You know, we need nourishment. Our soul needs to be nourished. It's not about organic avocados from Erewhon Market. That's great. But we all need this emotional nourishment. So is it a challenge getting more people to accept it? I don't think it is, because everyone I see go, oh my God, I love that. And some people go, you know, I listen to you, thought, oh, that's rubbish. But then I found myself going into the garage and saying nice stuff to myself. So maybe my only challenge, but even then it's not a challenge, is I would say half the medical profession love what I do and really go for it and go, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm using it with my own patients. And the other half go, this is all silly. You know, illness is caused by disease, that you can't talk yourself better. Talking to yourself doesn't make any difference. You can't possibly give birth just using positive affirmations. It's like if you had cancer and you had a very good oncologist who might go, look, you know, the way you think, the way you eat, the way you act, the way you rest can all affect. And they'll go, nope, you got cancer, chemotherapy, there's nothing else that will work. And all that stuff is hocus pocus. Right. So that is a challenge, but it's not so much, because I find so many doctors love what I do and go, wow, you know, all these illnesses are autoimmune illnesses. Many years ago, there was a wonderful psychiatrist in London called Dr. Maudsley, and he had a great expression, it's always been my favorite, and it says, the feeling that cannot find its expression in tears may cause other organs to weep. So he knew 100 years ago.
That's beautiful.
So beautiful and so true.
The feeling that
cannot find its expression in tears will cause other organs to weep. So he's sort of saying, if you don't feel the feeling, your body's going to feel it. If you don't open your mouth and say, you hurt me, don't be surprised if you get a screaming. I've got this screaming headache. I've got this angry red rash. I've got this thumping pain. And by the words they're using, angry, screaming, they're saying, I have rage that can't come out.
I'm not expressing it, but it's expressed through my body.
Yeah, because the body is very clever at finding something. I worked with someone who couldn't walk, and all she was, I can't stand that. I can't stand my ex, I can't stand my life, I can't stand my kids, and you can't stand up. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, wow.
She had sort of phantom leg pains because she couldn't stand anything. Bulimics was also, well, what makes me sick is my sister-in-law. Oh, I'm so sick of her. She just makes me sick. I vomit in my mouth every time I hear her voice, and then they wonder why they're bulimic.
Right.
Because our words really affect our reality, partly because, and it's such an easy thing to say, every word you say is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche are working to make your reality. So we make our thoughts, and our thoughts make us. Then we go out into the world and we justify our thoughts every day. But our words are a blueprint. And when you know that, you think, well, I better pay attention to that blueprint. I better not say this kid is killing me. My job is making me want to die. I'm so stressed out by what? The queue in U.H.I market. Well, go to Zimbabwe where there is no U.H.I market,
right,
and there is no queue, and there's no money to buy food anyway. Then you can say you're stressed because your problem, the queue in Erewhon and the bill, is someone else's fantasy dream come true. This freeway is killing you. You have a car. You have
a
look
job
at
to go
people
to,
on 4 buses. I used to take my daughter to school, and I remember one day thinking that, oh my God, this commute is hell. And I saw someone at a bus and thought, how lucky am I? I'm in my car,
have to
I've
stop
got the
every 2 minutes,
heating,
yeah.
I've got a cup of tea, I've got an hour to listen to something, I can talk to my kid. I keep saying I want an hour to myself, well, here it is. And I learned to stop doing that. But when you say, how are you? Oh, nightmare. It is torture. What? The traffic. Yeah, the traffic, the queue, people keep ringing me, the phone ringing, it's torture. Well, maybe if it didn't ring, that might be worse.
Worse.
Some of my clients who are models will say, my life is hell because people look at me. It's like, really? Well, one day they won't, and then you might miss it. Yeah, but I get on a plane and guys hit on me, it's a nightmare. Well, put on a baseball hat and glasses, read a
hoodie
book.
over yourself,
Then they'll leave you alone. But that's not a nightmare, it's just mildly inconvenient. It's not hell.
Right.
It's not killing you, but we use these incredible words. This is torture, this is killing me, this is a disaster. What is? Well, I went to the bathroom and I forgot to pause my movie. Well, that's not a disaster. But when you use those words, because your mind can't differentiate, just to feel like it really is a disaster.
The language you use about yourself when you're by yourself is what will make or break your self-esteem. When we talk to other people, when we post on Instagram, when we share our lives, we always want it to look good and be amazing and be so positive, right? Most people's Instagram stories are just all of these amazing highlights and how beautiful my perfect life is. And then you go home when you're by yourself and you look at yourself in the mirror and people.
What would your life be like if you were a rapid transformational therapist?
And people, cry themselves to sleep. What's the message when you talk to yourself? What's the message when you're alone? What are you saying about yourself? When you can start to fix that self-talk, that inner dialogue, that starts to shift everything inside you to then create amazing things outside you. I remember when I first got started making YouTube videos, my self-talk was in conflict because I had my parents, who I remember the voice, there's a picture of my parents behind me on my wall in my office. And when people ask me what's my favorite quote of all time, it's what my parents used to tell me, that I am Evan Shirley Carmichael. I could do anything that I believe that I can. And that is a constant reminder that I still today, at 41, still use, still tell myself, still remind myself of, like, I am Evan Shirley Carmichael. I can do anything that I believe that I can. And it's helpful and valuable, and what a gift. So grateful for my parents for that. When I was getting started on YouTube, though, the other voice that was in my head was, you're introverted, you're shy, you suck on camera, anybody who makes videos has a big ego, just needs to be famous. And so I really struggled with that because I had competing voices in my head. It wasn't even what other people were telling me to do. It was me, myself, when I'm by myself, thinking about myself. That constant inner struggle with the voices in my head left me struggling, left me making super slow progress, left me started and stopping and started and stopping. If you look at my videos, I started and then I took big breaks, and then I started again, then I took more big breaks. And it wasn't until I solved that inner conflict that I started to get more results, and I started to be more productive, and I started to stopping. I started to stop stopping. I stopped procrastinating. I just did it because I wasn't so caught up in my head and the discussion and the inner dialogue and the voices, and I just replaced it with better thinking about myself, better messages to myself. I think when you can do that, your life starts to change, because it's not other people's opinions that really shape us. It's other people's opinions that then influence our own self-talk, that's what shape us. And so when you shift that, everything starts to change. So how do you do it? How do you actually start to shift your self-talk forward? How do you see yourself in a more loving way? Let me give you some practical tips for what to do. You can start today. One is to start to change your environment. So the more you're around people who are loving, caring, ambitious, living the life that you want, doing the things that you want, having the relationships that you want, having the business that you want, are not sitting there stuck and complaining. That's complaining and blaming together. It's complaining. People aren't stuck in that mode. The more they pull you forward, the more it forces a more positive self-reflection. So if you're around...
Did you know that you could build the next big startup without hiring a single developer or learning how to code? My name is Christian Peverelli, and I'm the co-founder of We Are No Code. When it comes to building startups, people think that it takes a large team, it requires a lot of investment, and that you have to be techie to be able to do that. I want to introduce you to a very exciting new technology that's called No Code. It's a much better and smarter way to build software that doesn't require developers and that doesn't require learning how to code at all. You can drag and drop functionalities and build incredibly powerful software. In this webinar, we're going to show you the step-by-step methodology that we use to build, launch, and monetize tech startups without writing a single line of code. So if you'd like to learn a much more effective way to bring your startup idea to life, then I'd really encourage you to come join the webinar. It's completely free, and in it we will be giving a special discount bonus as well as a no-code toolkit to get you started immediately for free. So join us, don't miss out on this opportunity, and don't let this idea eat you from inside. Take action.
This box is actually 27 years old. And I want to tell you what's in this box. I learned a technique from a spiritual teacher where every time I have a crazy dream or a goal, I write it in a piece of paper and I put it in this box. And I imagine as if this box is kind of like a genie or a magic machine, and these goals come true. So in this box, you'll find some crazy stuff. Don't ask me what this is. It's a unicorn buck. A Christmas card with Star Wars characters singing, a broken arrow from a Habecker class where I had to break an arrow with my neck. But this piece of paper started it all. And this is what we're going to talk about today. This paper says June 2008, Mind Valley 300K in sales. Okay, let me tell you what was going on there. In May of 2008, I had been an entrepreneur for 5 years, and I realized that I was in a horrible situation. We had 18 people working for Mind Valley back then, but we were making about $250,000 a month in revenue, but we were losing money every single month. And we knew if this loss didn't stop, we were about to run out of cash in the bank, and we would have to let go of a good chunk of our team. I tried everything, business consultants, marketing strategies, hiring MBAs. Nothing was changing that. I went into one of those zones where I just couldn't focus and work because the fear, the anxiety was so great. Now back then, my life was really different. I drove a tiny Nissan March. I did not have enough money. Everything was going to this company that was not really going anywhere for the first 5 years. And I lived in a room, still in my parents' house. You see, I had failed to realize that ultimately, everything we see in life is about what's going on in here.
Elon Musk and Oprah Winfrey and Marissa Peer and Tony Robbins and hopefully Evan Carmichael, the more you're around these people, the more you will start to think like them. The more the way they see the world will start to influence the way you start to see the world. And it forces that self-reflection, because the easiest way to change your viewpoint on something is to change your environment. The fastest way to learn Japanese is to go to Japan because you're around it constantly. So if you want to be more loving, be around people who are more loving. You want more self-confidence for yourself, be around people who are more self-confident. Nina's back!
Hello.
We love you, Nina!
Oh, sorry.
We're
Took a little bit long time.
That's okay, we've been filming. We've been making content. So step number 1 is just to change the environment. Step number 2 is figure out your who. Your who is your single most important core value. I wrote 2 books talking about it, Your One Word and Built to Serve. I believe that everybody has a single most important core value, and when you figure out what that is, it gives you a roadmap for the rest of your life. So you can pick up either book to figure it out, or just ask yourself, what is my single most important core value? You have to pick right now. What was your single most important core value? More important than all the others, not your list of 13 core values. 1, what is it? For me, it's belief. So everything I try to do is about belief. The videos I make, this video, the goal, the hope, the inspiration is to try to make you believe in yourself more. Maybe I accomplish that, maybe I don't, but it's always the intention going in. So when you figure out yours, whether it's belong or freedom or inspiration or motivation or happiness or care or love or believe or whatever it is, when you figure out what that is, 1, it gives you good perspective on why you haven't been happy. Anytime I'm not happy, it's because there's a lack of belief in my life, either belief in myself and what I'm capable of, or I'm not spreading enough belief to others. Same thing for you. You figure out your who. Whenever you're not happy, it's because it's a lack of that in your life right now. And so if you want to hit the next step, it's by breaking through another barrier of your who. My next level of greatness is on the other side of even more belief in myself. I still lack belief in myself to get to the next step. And same thing for you. And so figuring out your most important core value gives you the area to work on. You know what you need more of in your life, and gives you a roadmap of how to actually get there. And then step number 3 is figure out what your trigger words are. What are your trigger words? What are the things that you say to yourself that keep you small, that keep you scared, that keep you safe, that keep you from living your dreams? What are the trigger words that you use? So for me, it's scary, difficult, and hard. Whenever I say scary, difficult, or hard, those are the things that have become my trigger words, and now I have to go do the things because I said them, because I wrote them, I texted them, I said them, I thought them. Right? When you figure out what your trigger words are, then whenever you say them, it's an indication of here I am again playing small. Here I am again telling myself that I can't do it. Here I am again accepting these reasons that I no longer want to accept. Being afraid is a classic one for a lot of people. Well, I didn't do it because I was afraid. And you've accepted the fact that you're afraid as being a good enough reason for you not to do the thing that you want to do. And I would like to challenge that and say that's no longer a good enough reason. Nope, not anymore. Not for you, not for what you're capable of, not for where you want to go, and not for the impact that you can have. Nope, not a good enough reason anymore. Let's go. So if you just sit and think about what are the trigger words that you say, what's the language that you use that keeps you small, scared, protected, that you no longer want to be good enough reasons, that you want to be free of, rid of, and that we're taking from our subconscious mind automatic patterns into our conscious, into no, I am going to make a change in my life. I no longer want to be this person. I need to evolve and grow and get better and be better because I'm capable, right? You. So when you figure out your trigger words and try to come up with them, it's a good exercise to do right now. What are the words that you tell yourself when you're scared, when you're afraid, when you've got big ideas, and you talk yourself down from it? What's the language you use? You can start by just taking on mine, scary, difficult, hard, or you can come up with your own. But the idea becomes anytime you see yourself using that language, it triggers you to then make a shift. To say, oh, okay, because I said that, because I said scary, difficult, or hard, now I'm going to do it. Just because I'm the kind of person who does scary, who does difficult, who loves hard. And when you can take those words that have previously disempowered you and flip them so that they become empowering for you, that's how you start to shift your identity forward. At the end of the day, the thing that matters is how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself. The language you use to talk about yourself, the messaging you have to yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you're going to sleep, when there's nobody else around you. Because when you can build that self-belief, when you can build that self-love, when you can build that self-confidence, that self-esteem, that becomes the rocket fuel for you to build the great life for you, your family, the people around you, and create the impact that you know you're capable of having. Now, I've got some special bonus clips that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you just watch a video and get motivated, you have a 35% chance of actually doing something, making a change. That's what the science says. 35%. That's not enough, Believe Nation. But when you watch a video, you get motivated, and then you create a specific plan of action for what you're going to do, it jumps to 91% chance of you following through. And when you commit publicly, like put it in the comments below what your plan is, it jumps to 95%. So, Believe Nation, your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week, put it down in the comments below so I can celebrate with you. Also, if you want to have more self-love and self-confidence, I've designed a special free training to help you get it. The science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to build a habit. And if you want to build a habit of self-confidence and self-belief, check it out in the description below. There's a link that will send you a video every day for the next 254 days, 100% free, to shift your confidence forward. The link to join is in the description below.
Successful people do what they hate to get to where they want to be. Doesn't matter how talented you are, if you don't have self-belief, you're not going to get anywhere. I find that even with cancer, if you have that belief, I'm going to try all this stuff, but it won't work, and I'm riddled with it, and there's no hope, and they start to read all these terrible diagnoses. I mean, in England, you are not allowed to say to someone, you've got 10 months to live, because that's what happens. They turn into the 10 months. You cannot diagnose them.
What do they tell them?
They just say, we're going to do this, and you may not survive this, but you could. And in the same way that if you're having surgery and they go, oh, look, this is a complete mess in here, there's just no way. Even in surgery, your subconscious is hearing what's going on around you. And there are many people who come out of a coma who said, I heard everything. The hearing is the last thing to go.
Todo el mundo representa, que prende party, agota, preventa, el que estrella tus oídos y la vena te
power of you controlling your breathing right now. Feel the power of you enjoying your greatest gift right now. That's you. That's your presence. That's your greatest power. Your power to determine to stay in the present, in the now, and be your true great being that you are. No matter what. In this present moment, everything is here you need right now. So let's see ourselves today doing the best we can in the gym of life. Here we are again. Controlling our minds. Controlling our breathing. One great thought at a time. One great breath at a time. So see yourself doing your best on all the exercises we do today together, here and now. That's your determination. Your greatest power. Power that's the same in you and every human being on the planet. Good morning, determination. How's everyone doing today? What a day again. Great day. Here we are. May not like exactly all the conditions that are going on right now, but we are here right now, together, working on our minds and working on our bodies. So here we go. When I say go, we're going to start doing our best jog on the spot, or we can go back and forth if you want to just walk. Remember, to keep in mind the safety of the space you are working with. Always keep that in mind. Here we go. When I say go, we're going to do our best jog ever. But you got to see it in your mind first. That's where everything begins, in your mind. But to be your true great self, you also sometimes have to get out of your mind just to be you. Just to be. Here we go. Jogging on the spot. Again, feel the control of you. Breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. You always have that power to determine, to take control of your breathing, your mind, and your body. That's what keeps us here and now, in the present. The greatest gift we all have always. Almost there. Keep going. Determination. Keep going. All right. And let's walk it out. Back and forth. Or just walk on the spot. That's all the space you have. All right, everyone. Let's start off with our shoulder rolls. Here we go. 10 shoulder rolls forward. The power of all of us right now, watching this, working together on one thing. No matter what's going on, we can stay in the present, right here, right now. And backwards. let's do arm circles forward. Here we go, arm circles forward. 10 forward, and we'll go 10 backwards. Then feel the power of you enjoying moving your body, being free to move through space. And backwards. Okay, here we go. Now let's do hands on our hips, bend your knees, and side stretch. Alright, and let's twist our body now. So 5 on each side. Keep your feet flat on the floor. Alright, excellent. Okay, let's do 5 push-ups together. Our best 5 push-ups. Here we go. If you gotta keep your knees down on the ground, that's fine. Let's do the best we can. Alright, let's do 5 sit-ups. Alright, and standing up. And let's do 5 squats. Our best 5 squats ever. Excellent. Let's do lunges. 3 on each side. Arms up. Excellent. All right. And 10-second plank. Bend these knees off the ground. Hold it there for 10. Good work, everyone, and stand up and reach for the sky or the ceiling on your toes, depending on where you are. Feel the joy of reaching. If you lose your balance, get back up again. Never give up, no matter what. All right, now let's reach for our toes, straight knees. Again, feel the joy of the process of you reaching. Trying to go a little bit further than last time without hurting yourself. You know the truth about you and how much you can do. Right here, right now. Okay, and come on up again. Let's balance. Grab one leg. Find that balance. Again, if you have to imagine yourself with roots underneath your feet that have grown through the ground fully, deep into the earth, do that. If that helps you. And switch. Notice the power of all of us right now. Controlling our minds, to control our bodies, to control our breathing, and to control our balance. Alright, and now let's hug our knee. Here we go. Bend the other one if you have to. Find that balance point and pull the knee up. Hug your knee, give it a good hug. And switch the other one. Feel the joy of you finding your balance in this moment right now. It's the same way you can do it in anything in life. Alright, okay, and let's sit down and reach for our toes, straight knees. There we go. Feel the gift of you. Trying to be your best. The best you. Not your best compared to others. Just your best you. Be shape with our legs, and let's reach for the floor as far away from our body as we can. Again, enjoy the process. Enjoy the reaching. We'll never get to an end. There is no end. Reach for one side, and then free. We gotta learn to love the process of everything we're doing. That's what will always keep us mind healthy, and more importantly, mind wealthy. And switch. Mind wealthy meaning that we choose courage, we choose determination over fear, over giving up. Okay, and let's bring our feet together and gently push our knees down with our elbows. Hold it there for 10 seconds. Always remember your breathing. And one leg forward, one leg back. Go as far back as you can. Keep that knee down. Just feel the power, the joy of this moment. This is how we win. One moment at a time. And switch. We always win if we control our minds. We don't let our minds control us. It's not the way it's supposed to be. We are infinitely intelligent. We control our minds. All right, and let's roll onto our bellies. Push the floor and look up at the ceiling. Or the sky, wherever you are. Ready? Here we go. Okay, and legs crossed again, back straight, eyes closed. Breathing in through our nose, out through our mouth. Feeling the joy in every breath. Now let's see in our mind today the vision we want to create for our best exercises. For me today, I'm going to see myself doing my best on each of the 2 songs I choose on one exercise each. So I'm going to see in my mind myself holding the lunge position for each leg as long as possible, hopefully for the duration of the first song. And then for the second song, I'm going to see myself holding a V sit-up position as long as I can. You don't have to choose those exercises. You may if you want. But you can see in your mind right now, whatever exercise you love doing, as long as you're doing it safely. You can dance, you can jump, you can do jumping jacks, lunges, squats, whatever your heart desires right now. As long as you stay safe. You know how to stay safe. You're made of rules, truth, principles that are designed to keep you safe, happy, successful, and free and peaceful all the time. It's a matter of want. You gotta want to be safe, healthy, and happy. You gotta want it so bad, as bad as you want to breathe. Alright everybody, here I go. My best to hold the lunge position on each leg. What about you? What are you going to do? Whatever you do, remember, your happiness is dependent on you doing your best on whatever it is you're doing. So here we go. Sometimes I'll keep my arms out like this too. Sometimes I'll put them out this way. Sometimes I'll bring them up. Slowly bring them back down. Just enjoying the pleasure of my body. This is pure happiness for me. Working on my mind and body all at once. And I want it for you. I want you to know that the way you do this, the way you control your mind and do this, the way you can do anything. Remember, our body has limits that we have yet to discover, but our mind is unlimited. More importantly, you control your mind, which makes you infinitely intelligent. Happiness is it. Thank you. Oh, thank you. that space between what you choose to do when that pain, discomfort sets in. What you choose to do. That's the other leg now. Shake off that burn. Wherever you are, you are fully enjoying the moment right now. You're happy. It's always up to you. Clap along if you feel happy. You're enjoying your exercise right now, wherever you are. My legs are shaking. I'm uncomfortable. I get to chew. I'm proud of my effort. Proud of my determination. I hope you are too, wherever you are. Still got more. Yeah, keep going. Here we go. Let's go. Determination. Let's go. Keep going wherever you are until the song's over. Or if you got your own song on, keep going. Keep going. Love your effort. Love your process right now. Next one for me is holding my V sit-up position. Even if I let go, I'm gonna get back up for the full duration of the song. Whatever you're doing, enjoy it fully. Follow your heart and soul. Here we go. Nobody can break their stride. Keep going. You can get back up. Keep going and getting better all the time. Even if your body slows you down. Remember, those limits, we're always discovering them. Always. Sometimes I'll change my arm position just to keep my balance. Constantly pushing a little bit more. Do it again. Constant going. We got music in us. Bring out our music over here. Keep pushing. Keep striving. Keep going to find and do your great self-force. Your power of determination. No matter what. Destined to bring yourself up. proud of the effort. Hope you are too. Here we go. We end. Well, quote unquote, we never really end. We now focus on our breathing. Back straight, eyes closed, legs crossed. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Feel that power that you're using to control your breathing. It's your connection to oneness, to what we all really are, to the truth. The ultimate truth. That you were born to win control over your mind. That when we all do that, we find out the truth of who we all really are. Infinitely intelligent beings, powerful beyond measure. The power of all knowing right here, right now, this moment. You're already made of all knowing of the universe. You're made of that same stuff. With that, you can always have and be your true, peaceful, happy, kind, loving self. No matter what. As you reflect back on your effort today, always remember that if you gave your best in whatever you were doing, you can do it now, you can do it forever. That's what makes you a winner. Born to be happy, peaceful, to be mind healthy and wealthy, always. No matter what's going on outside your mind, no matter what anybody or anything suggests about you, any negativity, that's all a lie. Losses that we, as determination, we get to transform to win, into truth, into accuracy of who we really are. That's why I love you and everybody in this universe. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great week. Enjoy every moment. You're the greatest gift ever. Love you all so much. Take care.
Welcome to the Billionaire Mindset, your 30-day journey to thinking like a billionaire. Now you can just watch this video, or if you want to sign up for the entire series for free and get the bonus PDF companion calendar, check the link in the description below. Today is bonus day 2, and we're going to learn from the 6th richest person on the planet at the time of this recording, with a net worth of $107.4 billion, Mr. Warren Buffett.
I was wondering how you define success personally.
Well, I can certainly define happiness because that's what I am. I mean, and if that, I mean, I get to do what I like to do every single day of the year, and I get to do it with people I like. I get to I don't have to associate with anybody causes my stomach to churn. The only thing in my job I don't like, and this only happens about every 3 or 4 years, occasionally I have to fire somebody, and I don't like. That's the only thing. Other than I tap dance to work, and I get down there, and I think I'm supposed to lie on my back and paint the ceiling, or something like Michelangelo. I mean, that's the way I feel, and it doesn't diminish. It's tremendous fun. So, if they say that success is getting what you want and happiness is wanting what you get. Well, I don't know which one applies in this case, but I do know that I wouldn't be doing anything else. I mean, I do advise you, when you go out to work, go to work for an organization that you admire, people you admire, because it'll turn you on, and you ought to be happy where you are working. And I always worry about people who say, I'm going to do this for 10 years. I really don't like it very well, and then I'll do 10 more years of this. I mean, that's a little like saving up sex for your old age. I mean, not a very good idea. So get right.
You would recommend that.
Get right into what you enjoy, and you'll be successful at it. You really will. I mean, you won't be able to miss. And that's. I don't regard what I do as the most important thing in the world at all, but it's right for me. I mean, I happen to be wired in a certain way that what I do works in this. If I had to do what Bill does, I mean, it lasts about 10 minutes. And that's true of a lot of things, but luckily I kind of stumbled into the thing that I do best, and that it's worked out well.
Warren is probably the most rational person I've ever met. Charlie Munger would be a close rival. And Charlie became a man that Warren depended on heavily. And I think his first experiences in the discarded cigar butt era convinced him that it was not exactly where he wanted to be.
He'd made so much money for so long doing what he'd been taught by Ben Graham, which is to buy these very cheap stocks. And if they were cheap enough, he didn't care it was a lousy company and a lousy management. He knew he was going to make money anyway just because of the cheapness.
Charlie Munger has had a big impact on me in moving me toward looking for wonderful companies at fair prices rather than fair companies at wonderful prices. And that was enormously important because it enabled Berkshire to scale up in a way that would have been impossible to do otherwise. Yep.
What are the key indicators you look for within companies before making an investment?
Well, I look for something that does give them a motor rub. We have a company called See's Candy out on the West Coast. See's Candy is boxed chocolates. If you give a box of See's chocolates to your girlfriend on the first date and she kisses you, we own you. I mean, we can raise the price tomorrow. I mean, you'll buy the same box. You're not going to fool around with success. So the key there is the response. You do not want to go home on Valentine's Day and say to your wife or your sweetheart, preferably they're the same person, you don't say, here, honey, I took the low bid. It doesn't work. Price is, to a degree, is immaterial. If you've got an economic castle, people are going to come and want to take that castle away from you. And you better have a strong moat. You better have a knight in the castle that knows what he's doing.
You're not buying an asset. You're buying a name. You're buying a brand. You're buying a real franchise here. And Charlie was more responsible for that than anybody. We were mental partners right from the moment we met.
I want to know, going back 50 years, what it was like when you first met Warren.
Well, I thought he was a prodigy. And I got a lot of criticism. My wife said, why are you paying such enormous respect to that young man with a crew cut who won't eat vegetables?
He's ungodly smart. He's got a much broader intellect than I do. And he's magnificent at being able to condense important ideas into just a very few words.
If you're not interested in the economic scene right now, you're mentally dead.
Charlie has no tact.
All right, let's talk a little bit about bankers. Charlie on Friday compared them to heroin addicts.
Yeah, well, that's colorful, Charlie, but I would not have chosen that.
I once wrote of him that when they handed out humility, he didn't get his fair share.
The ideal way to run a headquarters is to have one man, preferably over 80, sitting in an office by himself. Anything else is pure frippery.
He's always honest in what he tells me, so I listen to him.
We never had an argument. We just kind of roll with it easily. Suppose Warren doesn't want to do something that I would have done. And suppose that happens 4 times over 40 years or something. What the hell difference does it make to me? Net, the record is working out fine. Both of us know that we've done better by having ethics. Warren's not interested in making money by cheating people.
Warren's opinions of Wall Street investment bankers would not endear him to their mothers. He feels that they're, for the most part, not out for their clients. They're out for their own business interests.
In the late 1960s, there were just a flood of accounting shenanigans and mergers built upon false accounting and misleading people. It was a time when a lot of charlatans were prevailing in Wall Street and were being applauded by Wall Street. And I understood what the game was about, but I didn't want to play in it. So I closed down the partnership at the end of 1969, and I took on the title of chairman for Berkshire Hathaway.
You haven't bought the stock. You're an admirer of Jeff Bezos. A listing of the richest people in America came out. He's number 1. I think your friend Bill Gates is number 2. You're number 3. So you can see what he's done in myriad ways.
Yeah.
And of course, the question is, how come you haven't bought Amazon? Is there still time to buy? Would you still buy?
Oh, I always admired Jeff. I mean, I met him 20 years ago or so, and I thought he was something special, but I didn't realize you could go from books to what's happened there. No, I mean, he had a vision and executed it in an incredible way, something that it would not have, but there's a lot of games I miss. I would have missed Microsoft even if I gotten to know Bill earlier or something. Those just aren't my games. I don't worry about the things that I miss that are outside my circle of competence of evaluating. I have missed things that were within my circle, and that's a terrible mistake. Those are my biggest mistakes. You haven't seen them. But it's not a mistake because I miss Netscape or something like that at all. I would say that maybe 5% of the companies or 10% of the companies at most are within an area of my circle of competence. There's something I should be able to understand. I would like to tell you of 2 women that each sold a business to Berkshire Hathaway, to me actually, for many, many, many millions of dollars. Both of them started with $2,500. By coincidence, it was the exact same amount. It was everything they had in the world. And one of them was a woman who landed in Seattle in 1917, couldn't speak a word of English, had a tag around her neck. The tag said, Fort Dodge, Iowa. The Red Cross got her to Fort Dodge, where she was reunited with her husband who had come to the country a couple of years earlier. And she lived in Fort Dodge for 2 years, and as she put it, she felt like a dummy. She couldn't pick up the language. She couldn't learn a word. And so she and her husband decided to move to Omaha. So they came to Omaha in 1919, and there she found a small colony of Russian Jews, so she started feeling more at home. And then as her oldest daughter went to school, she would come home, this daughter, Frances, and she would teach her mother the words she'd learned in school that day. And this woman, Rose Blumpkin, spent 20 years saving money, bringing first her siblings over, her mother and father, $50 at a time. She sold used clothing to do it. She had 4 children during this period. And by 1937, after 20 years, she'd save $2,500. She went to Chicago and she bought what she could of furniture. Her dream had always been to open a furniture store. And this woman who had never gone to school one day in her life, with $2,500, but with the same spirit that the people in this room had about having a dream and working to accomplish that dream, she built a business which she sold to me in 1983 for $60 million approximately, and which did $1.5 billion worth of business last year. The fourth generation is working in that business. This woman, Rose Blumpkin, she worked for me until she was 103. And then she retired and she died the next year, which is a lesson to all of Berkshire's managers that premature retirement, you can't tell what's going to happen. But Mrs. B, with her $2,500, one further fact about her, she could not read or write. And she went into a furniture business, and she didn't bring anything in unique in furniture, but she brought a determination to succeed. She knew she could outwork anyone else. She knew that she cared about her customers. She worked at very low gross margins, but she built this incredible business. Somebody once said that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. I had been terrified of public speaking. I couldn't do it. I'd throw up. And I knew if I didn't cure it then, I'd never cure it. And so I saw an ad in the paper for the Dale Carnegie course, which worked on developing your ability to speak in public. And I went down there.
Be sincere. A good smile has the same effect as a puppy's tail. When a puppy wags.
They made us do all these crazy things to get out of ourselves, and so we stood on tables and did all kinds of things. If I hadn't have done that, my whole life would have been different. So in my office, you will not see the degree I got from the University of Nebraska. You'll not see the master's degree I got from Columbia University, but you'll see the little award certificate I got from the Dale Carnegie course.
So how does a functional medicine doctor go from almost closing his door?
How do I value the business that Berkshire acquires? Well, the first thing I have to decide when somebody calls me is valuing this business within my circle of competence. I don't know how to value Microsoft. I don't know how to value Oracle. I mean, if Larry Ellison calls me or Bill Gates calls me, and they don't. But if any of those, I don't know, or biotech or anything, I wouldn't know how to value it. I just, I'd wish them well and tell them, I think it's worth twice as much as they think it is, but I'm just not in the mood to buy today. I don't know. So it has to be within my circle of competence. My circle of competence is, businesses I can understand. And when I say understand, I don't mean understand how to use a computer or not use a computer in terms of a computer company. I mean understand what the economic characteristics of the business are and what the company's really going to look like in 5 or 10 or 20 years. Bill Gates will tell you that if he were investing, he would buy Berkshire rather than Microsoft because it's so much easier to understand what our businesses are going to look like, whereas he's in a business where you're going to really have to be doing things differently over time. So I know that Wrigley's is going to be the #1 chewing gum in the country. I know Snickers is going to be the #1 candy bar in the country 10 years from now. It's been the #1 candy bar for 40 years. You don't have to be very bright to understand that when people lay out 50 cents for something that they stick in their mouth, that they're not about to experiment. I mean, we try to look at businesses we can understand. I have an old-fashioned belief that I only should expect to make money in things that I understand. And when I say understand, I don't mean understand, what the product does or anything like that. I mean understand what the economics of the business are likely to look like 10 years from now or 20 years from now. I know, in general, what the economics of, say, Wrigley chewing gum will look like 10 years from now. The internet isn't going to change the way people chew gum. It isn't going to change which gum they chew. If you own the chewing gum market in a big way, and you've got double mint and spearmint and juicy fruit, those brands will be there 10 years from now. So I can't pinpoint exactly what the numbers are going to look like on Wrigley, but I'm not going to be way off if I try to look forward on something like that. That evaluating that company is within what I call my circle of competence. I understand what they do, I understand the economics of it, I understand the competitive aspects of the business. Figuring out the economic consequences. TV. I think there's, 20, 25 million sets a year sold in the United States. I don't think there's one of them made in the United States anymore. I mean, you'd say TV set manufacturer, what a wonderful business. I mean, everybody, nobody had a TV in 1950, or thereabouts, 45 to 50. Everybody has multiple sets now, but nobody in the United States has made any real money making the sets. They're all out of business. The Magnavoxes, the RCAs, all of those companies. Radio was the equivalent of the over 500 companies making radios in the 1920s. Again, I don't think there's a U.S. radio manufacturer at the present time. But Coca-Cola, what was it, 1884 at Jacobs Pharmacy or whatever, this fellow comes up with something. A lot of copiers over the years. But now you've got a company that is selling roughly 1.1 billion 8-ounce servings of its product, not all Coke, Sprite, and some others, daily throughout the world 117 years later. So understanding the economic characteristics of a business is different than predicting the fact that an industry is going to do wonderfully. And so when I look at the internet businesses, or I look at tech businesses, I say this is a marvelous thing, and I love to play around on the computer, and I order my books from Amazon and all kinds of things, but I don't know who's going to win. And unless I know who's going to win, I'm not interested in investing. I'll just play around on the computer. And defining your circle of competence is the most important aspect of investing. It's not how important, how large your circle is. You don't have to be an expert on everything.
Hello everybody, Anton Curley here from dropshiplifestyle.com. And before you click the skip ad button and move,
but knowing where the perimeter of that circle of what you know and what you don't know is, and staying inside of it, is all important. Tom Watson Sr., who started IBM, said in his book, he said, I'm no genius, he said, but I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots. And that is the key. So if I understand a few things, and I stick in that arena, I'll do okay. And if I don't understand something, but I get all excited about it because my neighbors are talking about it, the stocks are going up and everything, I start fooling around someplace else, eventually I'll get creamed, and I should.
I advise students, as much as possible, look for the job that you would take if you didn't need a job. I mean, don't sleepwalk through life, and don't say it's all going to be great. I'll do this and I'll do that, and I'm just marking time till I get to be older. That, as I've told people, that's like saving up sex for your old age. I mean, it just is not it is not a good idea. Yeah.
What are you urging them to do?
I'll explain it. Guess what I'm talking about. Now, you really want to be doing what you love doing, and you can't necessarily find it on your first job. Right. But don't give up before you find it.
Can you help us understand how to cultivate that mindset of being comfortable saying no, being comfortable delegating? This is something that we found with our members is especially difficult for young women.
It's tough.
And we'd love to just hear your take on that, and maybe any advice you have to share about that.
I met Bill Gates in 1991, and when I did it, we had a great time talking. He thought he was going to hate it, and I wasn't too keen on it either. And about 10 hours later, we were still talking. But what really got him was when I pulled out this little date book. I'm probably the only guy in the United States with one of these still.
Oh, no, I have one over there.
And I just flipped through it, and there's practically nothing in it. And Bill was really impressed by that. And you've got to keep control of your time. And you won't keep control of your time unless you can say no. You can't let other people set your agenda in life. And of course, I know I'm in a very fortunate position on that because and in another way, I'm not so fortunate because more people ask me for things. and they're usually friends, and they say, well, can't you just make this one talk or attend this one graduation or whatever it may be? You just have to develop the ability to say no and do it a few times. you know, if a woman can't say no, she's in trouble, right?
Right. And I mean, is this something that becomes easier over time, or how did you?
I don't think it gets a lot easier. No, it is. There's a few things that really just are uncomfortable enough. The thing I dislike the most, the only thing I really dislike in connection with my job, is if I have to fire somebody. I mean, that does not get easier for me as life has gone on. And saying no is not like firing people, but it's got a little bit of the same aspect to it. It's not easy to say no, particularly to a friend. But I will have every day 3 or 4 or 5 requests to do something, and I can't do them all, you know. And but I'm not promising it gets easier. but just keep doing it. Otherwise, other people will run.